Ебать.
Ух ты, ебать!
Ukraine struck a Russian ammunition depot in the town of Khartsyzk in occupied Donetsk Oblast on July 2nd, Russian telegram channels reported. Videos posted on social media purportedly show massive explosions near the reported ammunition depot located just east of the Russian-occupied city of Donetsk. Multiple secondary detonations followed, indicating the likely destruction of stored munitions. Local channels report a fire at the site. SBU drones blew up Russian ammunition depots near temporarily occupied Khartsyzk, the special service reported. Yesterday, SBU drones successfully hit the ammunition depots of the Russian army in the village of Velike Orekov near Khartsyzk, Donetsk region. Starting from 10 p.m., explosions were heard at the warehouses, and then a powerful secondary detonation of ammunition and a fire began, reported the SBU. Khartsyzk is located near the temporarily occupied Makivka and Donetsk and, as the SBU indicated, has important strategic significance as it is used by the Russians as a rear base. The enemy has placed command posts, logistics centers, and ammunition depots there. All of them are legitimate military targets, the SBU noted. The SBU continues its systematic work to weaken the rear bases of the Russian army. Each such special operation reduces the enemy's offensive potential. The season of summer cotton from the SBU is in full swing, emphasized the special service. No information was immediately available as to the extent of the damage caused. Ukraine's military regularly strikes military targets in Russian-occupied territories and deep within Russia in an attempt to diminish Moscow's fighting power as it continues its war against Ukraine. On the evening of June 30th, Ukraine similarly struck a command post of the 8th Combined Arms Army of the Russian Armed Forces in the Russian-occupied part of Donetsk Oblast. Russia has for months focused its offensive efforts on the embattled town of Pokrovsk in Donetsk Oblast and has recently been escalating attempts to break through to neighboring Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, a region that has not yet seen combat.
Ебать.
Обожаю это. Сука. Ну какого хуя? Сука. Да. Ух ты, ебать в рот. Вот это въебали.
Regarding the drone strike results at Kharkovsky airfield in Crimea, according to the SBU, a Russian Pantsir-S 1 air defense system and 3 helicopters were destroyed. Satellite imagery confirms strike marks on 3 helicopters and burn traces near the Pantsir-S 1, indicating it was likely damaged. North Korea is set to triple the number of its troops fighting for Russia along the front lines with Ukraine, sending an additional 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers to assist Moscow, according to an intelligence assessment from Ukrainian officials. The troops may arrive in Russia in the coming months, according to the assessments, adding to the 11,000 sent in November who helped repel Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region. Around 4,000 of those North Korean soldiers were killed or injured in the deployment, according to Western officials. Yet Pyongyang's cooperation with Moscow has since bloomed. A Western intelligence official confirmed the estimate, saying they had seen information separate to the Ukrainian assessment, which suggested up to 30,000 new North Korean troops could be sent to Russia. The Ukrainian assessment says the Russian Ministry of Defense is capable of providing needed equipment, weapons, and ammunition with the aim of further integration to Russian combat units. The document adds, there is a great possibility the North Korean troops will be engaged in combat in parts of Russian-occupied Ukraine to strengthen the Russian contingent, including during the large-scale offensive operations. The assessment from Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Agency also says there are signs that Russian military aircraft are being refitted to carry personnel, reflecting the vast undertaking of moving tens of thousands of foreign troops across Russian Siberia, which shares a border with North Korea in its far southwest. Possible preparations for the new deployment, including the arrival of a ship linked to last year's deployments at a Russian port and cargo aircraft at North Korea's Sunan airport, have been spotted on satellite imagery. North Korea initially sent 11,000 troops to Russia in the fall of 2024 in great secrecy, with Russian President Vladimir Putin only confirming the deployment in late April. In October, North Korean soldiers were pictured being handed equipment for the front lines at the Sergeyevka military base in Primorsky Krai. A month later, a Rapucha-class Russian ship docked at the Dunai port near Nakhodka, 95 kilometers, 59 miles, to the southwest, which could carry up to 400 troops, analysts said. The same type of troop-transporting Rapucha ship again docked on May 18th at the same Dunai port, according to satellite images by the Open Source Center, a UK-based non-profit specializing in open-source intelligence related to defense and security. Flight patterns also suggest the movement of some more troops could also be underway. The Open Source Center with satellite imagery from the Sunan Airport in North Korea on June 4th, in which cargo planes, possibly IL-76, were taxiing on the tarmac, the same type of aircraft used in last year's deployments, while imagery does not show what the ship and the planes are being used for. The movements could suggest a pattern consistent with what analysts observed last year. Satellite imagery shows a Russian personnel carrier arriving at Dunai in May, and activity at Sunan Airport in May and June, said Joe Byrne, senior analyst at the Open Source Center. This appears to indicate the routes previously used to move DPRK troops are active and could be used in any large-scale future transfer of personnel. Jenny Town, senior fellow and director of the Korean program at the Stimson Center, said the Ukrainian assessment of up to 30,000 sounded high, but they can certainly come up with that number. They won't be elite soldiers. Kim Jong-un has said he is all in, so it depends on what Russia has asked for. Town said 10,000 to 20,000 sounds more realistic, and that North Korea might slowly deploy the troops in stages. There have been rumors that Russian generals have been inside North Korea training troops there already, she said. Ukraine's defense minister, Rustem Umerov, said Thursday that Kyiv suspected further North Korean troops might be deployed, but added that the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, risked putting his own government in peril by exposing so many elite troops to the high casualty rates of the front line. Russia's use of elite North Korean troops demonstrates not only a growing reliance on totalitarian regimes, but also serious problems with its mobilization reserve, Umerov said. Together with our partners, we are monitoring these threats and will respond accordingly. On Friday, Ukraine's military chief, Oleksandr Syrsky, said Russia was amassing 110,000 troops near the frontline hotspot town of Pokrovsk in preparation for a possible offensive on the strategic population center. Sergei Shoigu, a top advisor to Putin who previously served as his defense minister, visited Pyongyang on June 17th, a trip made on Putin's orders and his second visit in a fortnight, the Russian state-run TASS news agency reported. During the visit, Shoigu announced 1,000 North Korean sappers and 5,000 military construction workers would be sent to Russia to clear mines and restore infrastructure destroyed by the occupiers in the Kursk region, according to TASS. South Korea's National Intelligence Service has briefed lawmakers in Seoul that North Korea has begun selecting personnel for overseas deployment, which could occur as early as July or August, according to remarks by lawmaker Lee Seung-kwon. He highlighted Russia's public announcement of another 6,000 North Korean mine clearers and military construction workers being sent. It is unclear if the NIS shares the Ukrainian intelligence assessment that the deployment could be as many as 30,000. Reports in Russian media have also hinted at intensified cooperation. A video from a Russian TV presenter and politician, Marina Kim, posted on Telegram 2 days after the Kremlin admitted North Korea's role in the war in late April, shows the intensive preparations and long-term dugout accommodation of one North Korean unit. The UK-based Centre for Information Resilience have geolocated the facility to a field outside of Postoyalya Dvory, a settlement 10 kilometers east of the city of Kursk. The 6-minute video shows a Russian military instructor declaring that North Koreans aged 23 to 27 arrive physically well prepared. He added, "As fighters, they are not worse than ours. The enemy runs away first." The Russian trainer discusses with Kim a translation sheet of basic military Russian terms to Korean. It is unclear if the North Korean trainees are new arrivals or the remnants of the 11,000 sent last year. The reporter also visits a trench network where the North Koreans live with basic comfort items such as red Korean pepper and handwritten posters declaring in Korean "Revenge for our fallen comrades" above their bunks. Another 2 videos posted by TASS imply greater integration of North Korean soldiers into the Russian military than was previously seen. North Korean troops' first exposure to the front line in Kursk was as a distinct, separate unit, owing to the language barrier with Moscow's troops, according to assessments by Ukrainian officials. One TASS video shows North Korean and Russian troops working to clear buildings together in close combat training, and another shows North Koreans receiving training with shotguns used to tackle the Ukrainian drone threat. The additional troops mark a significant development in the conflict and a sign that North Korea's leader is doubling down on his support for Moscow. Kim Jong-un was seen on North Korean state media inspecting North Korean special forces on May 14th, leading some analysts to suspect the visit was related to a future deployment. The revelation of what appears will be a major North Korean deployment is part of a month-long CNN investigation into North Korea's widening role in support of Moscow's war. Ukrainian intelligence also supplied the most complete record yet of the 82 strikes by North Korean KN-23 and KN-24 ballistic missiles, revealing one was responsible in January 2024 for the deaths of 11 civilians in Pokrovsk and their intense use in February this year.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.